number 3 is from WrestleMania 27, The Undertaker versus Triple H. Alrighty, so I believe that I actually disagree with this one. So I actually rank their 17 match over this. No, not the 17. My least favorite actually was the 28 match, End of an Era. All right, so but we took it to social media because the Man Triple 01, he felt number 3 was going to be is 27. Pretty much is where he ranked, and Man Triple 01 looks like social media agreed with you when I did this. So talking about Undertaker and Triple H's match here, what comes to me, the first word that comes to me about this match is maturity. That's what this felt like compared to their first match. I'll talk more about that, but this one felt like maturity. It definitely, and you could tell because they were more matured seasoned veterans at this time, and they were in different places at this point. So this is the story. Triple H is trying to avenge his loss of his best friend retiring at the hands of the Undertaker. What I will say about the build-up, and this is things that I did not like during the Vince McMahon, particularly that last decade that he was booking, that something I'm very appreciative that Triple H now does, is I hate it, and I still hate it, that they did not at all recognize or acknowledge that these two men had fought 10 years prior. Just imagine how much better the buildup could have been if they would have acknowledged that, okay, Triple H is now back 10 years later to try and take it out. Like, I understand the focus was him and Taker and him trying to avenge Shawn, but they just ignored all of the Vince McMahon. I guess it was said that he wasn't a fan of the whole biker gimmick for the Undertaker, but I like history. I think we all love history. I remember doing a class project back in my time in art college. We were doing something for advertisement or something like that, and I was like, hey, look at this. This is everybody that Taker beat, but I put an X sign over the 17. I'm like, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah, it was some sort of like art that we were trying to, like, what would try to convey a message, and that was my way of conveying the message that WWE is ignoring their history. But in terms of the match, Triple H comes on out, and you only saw this on the pay-per-view live. Undertaker comes out to Johnny Cash, ain't no grave can hold my body down. Like, oh my gosh, it fit so much for this build-up. Love seeing Taker come out to that. Unfortunately, you can only find it if you have a feed of it on pay-per-view, which Man Triple 01, he was with us. You were with me and our friends when we watched it. But yeah, the thing about this is when the match gets going, I thought this was a very suspenseful match, and more suspenseful than the 17 match, which is why I like it better. Man, there were so many great moments. Triple H and Taker go out there. They didn't go out there and wrestle the clinic that Shawn and Taker put on the 2 years prior, but as a brawl, man, these guys went at it from doing the and I think we could see, because physically this is post Triple H with having 2 quads repaired. Taker, you know, both these guys had a lot of mileage on their body, so physically they weren't going to be doing what they did in their 17 match, but man, they still hit each other hard, going through the tables, the spine buster off of the steel steps through the announce table. They brought in some of the chair spots, doing the last rides, just going back, pedigrees, kicking out of the finishers. It was just crazy. And I think the most crazy moment of the match is when Triple H, I think, reversed the Undertaker into the tombstone, and we get that shot from the hard camera. He goes like, it's over, and he hits him with the tombstone. I remember, man, Triple 01, you, me, our friends, we were all like, oh, like, are they gonna really end it? They got us for that moment. Like, wow, okay, that was a great near fall in this match, man. It was crazy. It had me on the edge of my seat in a way that first match didn't. And at this point, yeah, the streak was a much bigger deal. They were just starting to acknowledge it, but man, I was on the edge of my seat through the whole match. They did a great job of making Triple H look like a beast, that Undertaker was struggling so hard to beat him, and in the end, they did the callback where he gets the sledgehammer and Taker puts him in the Hell's Gate, and we're like, oh, is he gonna get him? Is he gonna get him? You know, Shades, this is what we were talking about recently we didn't do it on my live stream, but because we're doing this stream after WrestleMania. Recently, Jey Uso defeated Gunther, locked into submission, and then immediately Gunther tapped out, and it's like, oh, okay, you screwed all the drama. This right here is a great example of how you do a submission, and if you're trying to build the most out of your drama. Taker gets Triple H locked in the Hell's Gate, and Triple H is getting the sledgehammer constantly. He's fading, but then he's staying in there, and he's fading, and he's staying in there, and it's like he's gonna gonna get him? Is he gonna get Taker? Is he gonna get him? And then he fades off, and the referee drops the arm down for the 3, and it's over. Undertaker has defeated Triple H. No, he actually taps out at the end. He's going out, so he does a light tap out, and he wins by submission. What a great way to build drama, and I think that's the type of submission finish we would have loved to have seen in Jey Uso versus Gunther. But staying focused on here with the Trilogy, this was phenomenal. I still think it is an amazing, suspenseful roller coaster ride. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think actually, this was my favorite. This is actually my favorite. Looking back on the notes here, this was my favorite of the Undertaker Triple H match. I thought that there was just a level of suspensefulness. This match, I think it had the best balance of what we got in their first and third matches at WrestleMania. But yeah, this is my favorite one. I thought these guys put on a suspenseful, excellent story. Absolutely. And then with that said, man, 0001, let's go ahead and hear your perspective on this, because I think from your ranking listing, you put this as your, this was your actual ranking. You felt that this was your third favorite, least favorite of the Undertaker Triple H matches, but you rank it number 3rd. So let's hear what you thought about this one.
Yeah, so as I go through this match, I watch it and everything else. Going back to see it, it's wild, You know what I mean? I look at it and WrestleMania 27, not the best show, but it did have some hidden gems on there, and this was one of those gems. And when you see this match right here, you see that, like you said earlier, they have a lot of mileage on them. And you have, in the story going into this, is Triple H is trying to avenge Shawn Michaels. But the problem is, this is a match that's been done at WrestleMania before. And when you have a match that's been done at WrestleMania before, you definitely should acknowledge the previous one. And, definitely make sure you, let's see, when I say acknowledge, this is how I acknowledge the tribal chief now. Because we still put up the ones. We just put up the middle ones now. That's what we do. But anyways, though, you should, you definitely should acknowledge and understand that, they have history there, and that's something that you can build off of, But my best guess as to why they didn't acknowledge the previous match that they had at WrestleMania was because the Undertaker was back to being his dead man again. His dead man character over his his American badass character. So when I go back and I watch this, when I go back and I watch this match, it's definitely a stunner. It's definitely a stunner. It's definitely a show stealer for sure. Because you have Triple H and you have Triple H, on the downside of his career, he's more of a corporate executive. This time around, he's starting to get more into the corporate side of things. And he's starting to become the Triple H more of the Triple H we know nowadays, as opposed to the cerebral assassin of the past. I mean, he'd go on and still have some bangers in the future, but his career is starting to wind down. This is the Undertaker's first match back as a part-timer, because in 2010, he had, that was his last year as a full-time wrestler, and he started becoming more of a part-timer. We started seeing less of him. So, less and less of them. I mean, that's the only match he wrestled that year, was that match, against Triple H. So he was on essentially what CM Punk calls the Santa Claus schedule, so it was just like, definitely for sure. When you watch this match, it's a show stealer and it's a stunner. Unfortunately, for this match, they put on 2 other matches, in my opinion, that were much better. So it's a stunner, but it's not the number 1 stunner. So it's just like, yeah.
All right, good. Go ahead, and good perspective on that one. So yeah, WrestleMania 17. So yeah, we got more to say. So the one thing that we actually did agree, and we didn't have to go to social media for this one, is our